Hi, and welcome back to another edition of the Toll Files. We're really happy to be joined today by Blake Caldwell. Blake, how's it going?
Going pretty well today.
So you just got done with U.S. Pro Championships, but I want to go back all the way to the beginning. So you started racing when you were 10 years old, huh?
Yeah, I went to my first national championships with my parents, and
Where was that one?
that one was in Seattle, Washington.
So that was probably a good trip for everyone.
Oh yeah, it was. I can't even say how I was so excited. Like 2 months leading up to it, and
So, I mean,
finally
at
go.
10 years old, did you, I mean, I'm just kind of interested how this process plays out. You know, I mean, did you realize that you had potential as a bike racer? Was it just something fun that you wanted to do and you had to talk your parents into this? Did they ask you if you wanted to do it? How did that go down?
I'd done a couple of races just around the Colorado area, and like I won a couple, and I thought it was fun, and just I don't know, the thought of going to nationals seemed really exciting, so I was into that, and I went and got second in the time trial when I was 10. So
And how many
attended
kids were
12.
racing? Do you remember?
There was about 60 or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I don't know, kept it was the 10 to 12, so I was racing as 12-year-olds, and I figured, well, if I keep at this, maybe I can take it up.
Yeah,
a little higher.
here we are 13 years later, and
Yeah.
you're still at it. So let's go back, though, and I mean, as you become older and start to learn the ways of the world, you must realize the sacrifice your parents are making at that point, don't you? I mean, both of your parents work, and they're both giving up vacation time to take this trip. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have one younger brother, yeah.
Does he race?
He did for a little bit. When I was like 14, he was 12. We both went to nationals a couple years.
Right, and so obviously your parents saw this as a healthy thing for the family.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they were incredibly supportive, and I realized it wouldn't have been possible without the parents to be there, like supporting you both with encouragement and also, helping you pay for the trips, buying bikes and stuff. It's an expensive sport to get into.
It really is, and it's an expensive sport emotionally as well. I mean, I always look at it now, and we have, obviously racing moves on as you move your way through being an espoir into an elite level rider. Well, there's still 10 and 12-year-olds out there. And I don't know, at that point, did you notice that there's some parents that were really great at nurturing kids and other parents that really probably shouldn't be involved in the sport?
Probably most of the parents there weren't so good. They were very, very pushy, and it's like, little league stories, parents getting in fights, and, the kids end up taking a back seat from, I don't know, all the drama between the parents.
And as a kid who has parents that aren't putting you through that, I mean, your heart really does go out to some of the kids that you see that you're riding with. Maybe some of their best experiences when they're at a nationals is when they're out riding with their friends, and they probably don't even look forward to going back and having dad tell them that they were in the wrong gear when they rolled out of the parking lot.
Right, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Also, just how lucky my parents were that they weren't pushing me or putting any pressure on me, and it was something I kept doing, coming back year after year because it was so fun.
And so, you were obviously successful right off the bat, and from what I know about your career, and I don't know that much about your early junior career, but I'm going to imagine that you continued to have good results all the way through the 13, 14s and the 15, 16s. At what point did your parents, were they able to get some help from some sponsors, or did you get on teams that started to get you to races?
About when I was 16, 17 years old, started with a Merlin development team. Jim Copeland was actually running that, and that was the first year where I really had some support and financial support for going to the races. And then after that, it was with the junior development team for a couple of years.
And so you were over in Belgium with that team?
I didn't go over to Belgium with them.
But it's
I
more
did
like
go with the
camps
national
in the
team.
springs and that kind of thing?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so then, I'm thinking back now, and you probably going back to when it was TIAA Cref, you were with the first edition of that team, weren't you?
Yeah, when I was 19 years old, it first started up. It was a 5280 magazine team, and there's about 5 of us. And for me, it was a great way to help to go do some of these inner city races for the first time. I packed up the van and went on a little road trip from early February through April just to go do Redlands and Solano, and there's Visalia, just some of those races.
And so looking back on those years, there must be some really strong memories that you have of the camaraderie with the guys. I mean, that was always the thing that I've noticed about, if you're going to go back to 5280, and it really is, it just kind of melds into the TIAA Cref program, and then Slipstream Chipotle, it really is all the same players along the way.
Yeah.
But can you think of any highlights from those trips?
I remember doing Tour of the Gila with Peter Stetina. He was one of the other riders who was on the 5280 team, and like getting just the road trips with those guys, and Colby Pierce, and it was a fun group of guys to hang out with.
Colby, was he more like your dad or your big brother?
He was just another one of the kids, and
but Colby really is a very experienced coach in this sport. But he was able to keep it fun with you guys.
Oh yeah, he was great. But I mean, at the same time, he has all this experience, and I mean, very, very good at getting us organized and doing what we need to do, but also at helping us have a good time.
And how, when you look at your skills as a bike racer, how much do you feel you've improved throughout the last 3 years?
The last 3 years have been real tough because I had problems with a knee injury a couple of years ago, and finally things are on track this year. But it was a little frustrating the past 2 years, just having like about half a season of racing.
Yeah, and so, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, that level of frustration, it's not just the fact that you're not racing well now, but you're always looking towards the future, aren't you?
Yeah, you just
I mean, you're so young, Blake, that, I mean, at this point, you've got to believe that there's going to be more opportunities for you. And I know things are tough right now as the Slipstream Chipotle team is growing and moving on. Obviously, there's going to be some kids that are left behind. But do you see the climate in the sport right now? Do you think that everyone's going to be able to find a ride next year?
There'll be teams that come in. They might be at a different level than the teams that were there this year. But I mean, there's the people that are out there riding are riding because they want to, and
sure.
There'll be something that'll work out for us all, and hopefully it's just a phase the sport's going through right now, and in another year or two that sponsorship will be back, and we'll be back to where we were 2 years ago.
I believe you, and I think you're right, actually. So you just had a great ride at the Tour of Portugal, 14 days of racing there. Tell us a little about that.
That was just an incredible experience. Up until then, like my longest race was about 5 days, and just making that jump, like I couldn't think about it the whole race at one time. I had to think,
sure, look at it in blocks.
6 days, then a rest day, and then a few more days. But it was, in the end, it was just another learning experience, and I mean, something I'll be able to go back to. Like, well, I finished that race, so.
Yeah, I mean, and look how few Americans at your age have done a race like that at this point. Do you feel, when you come home, do you Google stuff and look around to see how much coverage there was of the Tour of Portugal? Do you follow your own media?
Not so much, but I mean, over there, like, the Tour of Portugal was huge, just like on TV and newspapers, and I mean, we saw a lot of coverage, not so much of, if we got a mention in there, we were real happy, but.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess where I'm going is there's not many American kids at your age that can say, and you're no longer a kid, obviously a young man, but there's not many athletes that have competed at that level, and I've got to believe that that's going to be a selling card for you when you go, into the future, that you do have some solid Euro experience, and there's probably going to be some teams that you're going to be talking to that will be looking to go to Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, you must see that as an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hope all that experience counts for something, and like. I spent 4 months over in Europe this year and got to do some of the biggest races that I've ever done before, and had some time with the national team doing under 23 races, and so it's I guess the experience is there. But.
Right, yeah. With that experience, how do you parlay that into another job? I guess. Do you have an agent working for you right now?
No, not right. No, but.
I mean, it's got to be tough because I've always felt you're a fairly quiet young man. You're certainly not shooting your mouth off all over the place, or a bragger, if you will. And so, but to a certain extent, you need people being advocates for you out there when you're looking for rides, don't you?
Yeah, when it's coming to looking for a job or getting your name out in the media, it helps to, have a strong voice and.
Right. And you've never really gone out of your way to be in the media, have you?
No, it hasn't. I mean, I do what I can there, but like. I mean, I'm happy with.
There's no Blake Caldwell blog or anything right now.
There is one.
Is there? All right. Well, where do we find that?
It's blakecaldwell.blogspot.com.
Oh, well, so. I'm sure a lot of people will be checking.
There we
expected the server to get crashed with the amount of the amount of hits that you get from Valley's TV.
I just checked it the other day and there are 0 comments. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll change that for you. So, what are your big objectives now? I mean, looking forward in your career, is it a goal to ride the World Road Championships at some point? Do you want to be in the Tour de France? I guess who doesn't?
Well, absolutely. Those are 2 big ones. Like someday I'd like to ride in the Tour de France, and it might be a few years off, and but it's just something I keep in the back of my mind that, you know, that's one of the reasons why I'm just keeping after it, and it's where I want to go. And the World Championships also.
Have you ever ridden the Worlds as a U23?
Not as under 23 or
But as a junior?
As a junior, 1 year. Yep.
Where was that World?
I was in Portugal, in
Really?
Lisbon. Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
2001.
So, well, when you now look forward, I have to imagine that you know what you're seeing in the sport right now, all of the changes that are going on. This has obviously been a really tumultuous year over in Europe.
Yeah.
Do you guys, amongst your peer group, are you guys kind of happy to see this happening? In that, by the time that you're racing full time in Europe, the sport really should be cleaner.
Yeah, there's definitely two sides to it. Like, I mean, we're disappointed to find out all these riders that people have given so much credibility, and they've made a name for themselves, and to see that was not really the true image there.
Sure.
That's disappointing, but at the same time, it's a good feeling to know that those people are getting caught, and that things are taking a serious change for the better here.
It's interesting when you make those comments and you look at it. It's like, in order for the sport to get healthier, obviously it has to go through these pains. But part of the pains are it's harder to find a team right now because there's going to be less sponsors that want to be involved while we clean up our act. So it's just, you really got to tough it through this next year, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, if that's one of the sacrifices we have to make, it's absolutely worth it. And same with like the ACE drug testing program that our team's going through. It's a minor inconvenience, but I mean, the trade-off is more than worth it.
You know, I talked about that with some of your teammates along the way. You guys really are giving up significant amount of blood for each one of these tests that you take, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a small amount each time, but once a week, well, now it's once a week for the whole season. It adds up, and, you know, you get back. Actually, an example is I got back from US Pro on late Monday, and then I had to go in Tuesday to get tested.
Oh,
and
really?
You know, it's not the first thing you want to do, but I mean, there's no question that, you know, that we'll go do it, and we feel that it's worth it and necessary for the sport.
I think it's really something to hang your hat on, not just you, but with your teammates as well, that we haven't had one positive test or one rider asked to leave the team this year. So has there been a certain amount of, and I would say it would obviously have to be subtle, but the pressure from your peer group to make sure that you don't make these mistakes as well? Not just the fact that you know you have this testing, and we all know it's wrong, of course, but the fact that you're going to be letting Ian McGregor or Timmy Duggan down if you make that mistake. It's not just you.
It's true. The team atmosphere, like on a Slipstream or before TACRAF, is I haven't been on another team in a while, but it's perfect for this. There's no pressure for that, and we've been racing together for so long that we really trust each other, and we have a lot of faith in the drug testing program, and even just as individuals, we know each other and trust each other, and it's not even something that really crosses our mind.
So after everything you've been through in this 13 years of racing or 14 years of racing, is it still fun?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So going forward to next year, what's going to make it a fun year for you? Just finding a good team and getting to the big races?
Getting to race my bike. Like, I realize that's what I love, and as long as I get to do that, I'll be happy.
And Blake, we love watching you do it. So we're going to wish you really good luck next year. Blake Caldwell from the Slipstream Chipotle team has got a really bright future.
Thanks, Dave.